everybody, and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. How is everyone doing this morning here on the Welcome to Asgard podcast, episode 569, and the last episode of the Good Morning Asgard podcast for the summer of 2025. That's right. We are jumping back into the school year next week with our faculty meetings and such. And so, as that is the case, this is my last full free week of summer vacation, trying to make the best of it as I can. And of course, wanted to be able to come on with y'all one last time for the Good Morning Asgard podcast stream. Now, don't worry, everything else is still remaining the same. Still doing my box office previews on Friday mornings, still doing my box office breakdowns on Sundays, and also still doing my live stream once a week on Monday evenings. So all that stuff is still remaining the same, but the morning streams on Wednesdays, this is the last of them, at least until summer of 2026. So we'll say hello to the people who are hanging out in the chat. We'll talk a little bit about some of the box office, also leaving it open for things that y'all want to talk about as well. Not officially an open forum, but definitely, as it is the last of the morning streams, some of y'all across the pond, this might be the better time for y'all to be here and to be active and all those things. So we'll do that. And yeah, also because it is the last of the morning streams, I've decided to make it a fun little giveaway stream as well. So we'll do a typical giveaways that we do where based off of your digital cookies that are collected by my bot Heimdall. We'll give maybe one or two away that way. But also I want to prioritize, at least for this stream, the placement. So my top 3 people, so whoever's in my 1 and 2 and 3 spot, you can see that in the chat box as you are chatting. It is something that you get XP or points for by chatting. I think you get some bonuses if you super chat or give members or things like that. Again, you don't have to feel compelled to do that, but for my top 3, y'all are going to get first dibs on the movies that I will be giving away. The one thing, of course, just to know beforehand is that if you want to enter in for a giveaway or if you want something, just make sure that you reach out to me. OMB Reviews at proton.me is probably the best way to reach me. So OMB Reviews at proton.me. Again, probably the best way to reach me. And just to give you an idea of the movies that will be available. And again, don't worry, it's not based off of who's number 1, 2, 3 now. I'll let y'all know when we're getting close to it. It'll be towards the end of the hour today. But the films that I'll have available are a great Criterion film release of Harakiri. If you've never seen this before, it's phenomenal. 2 copies of The Fisher King, another phenomenal release from Criterion. Robin Williams, Jeff Bridges, a Terry Gilliam film. So I got 2 copies of that. The only good film, in my opinion, that Rian Johnson ever made, Brick, on 4K. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, phenomenal movie. Also, a 4K steelbook of A Quiet Place, Day 1. Again, I think also a pretty good prequel film, 4K steelbook. And lastly, a 4K edition of one of my favorite films of the last couple of years, The Bike Riders, as well. So those are the films that will be available. So again, whoever my top 3 are, in my top 3 places in the chat, by the end of the stream, y'all will get first dibs on those movies. And then after that, we'll go into, we'll also be collecting and opening up a giveaway through my bot Heimdall, and I'll open that up probably after I say hello to the people in the chat, so that way y'all have time to get your entries in, and then I'll be able to pick winners after that. And again, whoever the winners are from that will be able to pick from anything that is remaining. But yeah, you'll have to contact me via my email, ombreviews@proton.me. And that will allow me to get your address so that way I know where to ship it to. I do ship internationally. I do not know if all of these are region-free releases. In many cases, they are. If not, I can at least tell you. So, for instance, Harakiri, this says it's region A locked. Fisher King says it is region A locked. Again, there's also region-free players out there. I think if you're using Make MKV, if you're trying to digitize your file, I believe you can do that with pretty much anything. Brick is also region A. It's a 4K for A Quiet Place Day 1. I don't think 4Ks have any region locks on them. Same also to be said for the Bike Riders, which is also a 4K release. So anyway, that will be for the top 3 spots. We'll get first dibs, and then we'll open it up after that. All right, let's go ahead and say hello to our people in the chat, though, before talking about some of the Fantastic Four box office, and also finally getting that Sunday to Monday drop-off and what it likely means for the future prospects of the film. So English Batchers, who was the first #1 spot, saying, "Hail Odin, chat 3 p.m. here, so good morning, night, and afternoon." Indeed. Eric Herrera, who tagged, thank you very much. If you do have a comment or question that you want me to read aloud, do add that tag of @Odin at the very beginning of your comment. So Eric Herrera says, "Good morning. Wanted to give a quick Jurassic update. Jurassic fandom is not sure whether they enjoy the films or hated it due to the Dominion. Most of the audience seemed to enjoy the film." Yeah, I mean, the fact that it's doing as well as it is both domestically and internationally tells me that apparently people are enjoying it. People are wanting to see it. You mean, the movie has made over $300 million domestically, which is insane. And the split between domestic and international is honestly not as big as one would expect it to be, right? Because I feel like in the past, almost all of the other Jurassic World movies have had just an insane split. So as of right now, the split between the two, it's a 58% international to a 42% domestic. So again, that's pretty good. Compare that to, this to give you an idea, back in 2022, the last film, Dominion, it was 37% domestic to 62% international. So a very clear, 60-40 split, whereas it's not nearly as clear with Rebirth, right? With 42% domestic, 58% international. And that's also with lower numbers coming from some markets, right? It's made $75 million in China, right? That's obviously, that's obviously a very, very good number. But back when that movie came out, it made $157 million in China. So it's made about almost half of that number. And that might explain, too, why it's a lot closer between them. But let's see, Dominion, back when that film came out, actually ended up doing better than I had remembered. It did do $376 million here domestically before adjusting for inflation. So, hey, again, based on the numbers, though, I'm honestly very surprised by how well the film is doing, not just internationally, but domestically, too. Let's see. The Morak says, "Good morning, Odin." What's going on, Morak? Welcome back. The Jinja Ninja. What's up, brother? Hail to you. Sick Parvis Magna says here, "Hail Odin, what do you think will Tron Ares deliver on hype? I'm personally looking forward to the movie. Trailer looks pretty good. I do have, obviously, some doubts when it comes to the movie because Tron Legacy, I think, was as well received as it was because of the team that is behind or was behind it. Tron Ares, I believe, has a different team. Yeah, it has a different director than the first film. This is also someone who was involved in Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales, and also Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. So again, I don't really think nearly as good of a pedigree there. The screenplay is by someone who isn't even listed or doesn't have, it seems, a link even on Wikipedia. So I don't know what that means as far as what they've written before. But the big elephant in the room, I think, for most people is going to be Jared Leto. I think the fact that Jared Leto is in the movie, that's going to be something that might concern a lot of people, might be a turnoff for a lot of people. I don't have a really big issue with Jared Leto myself, but I definitely understand why people do. Let's see. Justin C. tagged to say, "Good morning. Here's the last morning's summer stream of 2025. Absolutely. The Morak, any projections on Nobody 2 yet? Or is it still too early? I know it's not going to be big, but just curious since this is a movie that I'm interested in." Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is the show to kind of get those questions out there since we don't have a whole lot really to talk about when it comes to Fantastic Four and Superman. And we're going to spend a little bit more time probably towards the end with the giveaways. And again, if you were not here at the very beginning of the stream, we are doing some giveaways today at the end of the stream. So my top 3 chatters, so whatever the ranking is Again, that's based off of you're chatting, you're interacting with people, and obviously it's not spamming the chat. If you're going to spam the chat, then there's going to be some problems. I'll disqualify you if that's the case. But also, if you use super chats or gift memberships or re-up memberships, things like that, believe that gives you a boost. Make sure to check the instructions on the XP because I don't want to send anyone astray or say anything that's not true. But the movies that the top 3 will be able to choose from will be films like this from Criterion, Harakiri, 2 copies of The Fisher King, which is also from Criterion, the 4K of Joseph Gordon-Levitt starring Brick, the only good Rian Johnson movie, I would argue. The 4K steelbook for A Quiet Place Day 1, which is actually a pretty beautiful steelbook. And then the 4K of The Bike Riders. So that's what the top 3 will be able to choose from. And then we'll open up in a second the giveaway to collect giveaway entries through my bot, Heimdall, for winners of the rest of the films that are not claimed. We'll get to that in a second, though. All right, back into the chat. Again, if you have a comment or question, just put @Odin at the very beginning of the comment, @Odin, and let me know that you're trying to get my attention. Eric S., welcome to the chat. I feel like I might have seen your name here before, but if not, welcome. Ben Dowdy, hello to you. I also say hello to people. Ooh, X is working. Yes. Brimstone watching over on X. Thank you for being over there and for chatting. It is great to see you. And yes, it is indeed working. So if anyone else is watching on X, you can get your comments read. Just coming in. What did I miss, Brimstone? We're just getting things started. I just went over the giveaway stuff again. But yeah, we got JS Pena saying, good morning. Good morning to you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. M. Mooney, welcome. Never seen Brick. Brick is actually a pretty good film. I actually like Brick quite a bit. It was back in the day before Rian Johnson started to smell his own refuse, right? It was back when he actually had a little bit more talent. I think that most people will say Brick is his best. Looper is not as good as people say that it is, but it does actually have some things that are worthy of praise. But once Looper came out, I feel like things really got to his head. He then, of course, did the whole Last Jedi thing, and that's when he really got to his head. And ever since then, he's been making a bunch of these murder mysteries that are just not really all that, not all that interesting. Brimstone saying, always happy to chat. I want to see who won this box office. I'm rooting for Jurassic World Rebirth. I mean, there is no question there, right? As far as who's winning that, because yeah, let's just be honest here. Jurassic World and the dinosaurs are running away with it, and there's no way for either of those 2 movies to catch up, right? As far as summertime releases are concerned, and the battle between those 3 specific movies, Jurassic World has won that. I will say right now, I will call that victory right now and say Jurassic World has won, and there is just no competition at all. All right, let me go ahead and open up the other giveaway. So random 4K, I think, yeah, 4K Blu-ray giveaway. There we go. Cool. So just go ahead and follow the instructions from Heimdall, which should be posted right about now. So giveaway for random 4K Blu-rays. And again, I told y'all what it was already in advance, but if you do want to enter in, if you don't think you're going to get those top three spots in the chat, again, the top 3 spots in the chat will get first dibs, and then all the other winners will be chosen out of the rest. So obviously, if you wanted to try to double your chances, you could do that. But the entry is 5,000 digital cookies. And so as you watch these streams, you get digital cookies for every minute that you watch. You can check your cookie count by putting in, what is it, cookies, exclamation point, cookies, something like that. And Heimdall will actually tell you how many cookies you have. So the cost is 5,000 cookies for 1 entry. You can only just get in 1 entry just to kind of keep things as sensible as possible. But yeah, if you're interested in winning any of those films, again, top 3 chatters, those will get the choice of the first 3 of the films. But after that, we'll pick winners from anyone who enters in that way. So again, I like to give things away for free. Obviously, if you do want a guaranteed spot, if you donate via if you donate via Super Chat or memberships, gift memberships, it does pick you up on the board, I think, right? Again, just check the rules on the XP chat to know that for sure. But the options will be Harakiri, which is a phenomenal Japanese film from Masaki Kobayashi. You also have Fisher King. I have 2 copies of that on Blu-ray as well. I got 4K copy of Brick, the only good Rian Johnson movie in my opinion. A Quiet Place Day 1, a 4K Steelbook, and then also the 4K of The Bike Riders, which is a phenomenal movie with Austin Butler, Tom Hardy as well. Again, just a very, very, very good movie. Jeff Nichols directed and written by him. So again, if you want to enter in, y'all know what to do. Okay. Back in the chat, and then we'll jump into the box office conversation. Brimstone, this brings joy to my heart. Good job. When I say good job, good. I'm glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. Sick Parvis Magna. Time to say, I get concerned from the most people about Tron Ares regarding Jared Leto. I think Joseph Kosinski was behind Tron Legacy. Yep, yes he was. It was awesome movie, so much rewatchable for me. Yeah, exactly. And because that team is not behind it, and now you have the Jared Leto factor, who knows? I will say this much. The trailer was good. The trailer was really, really good. Vivander says, summer box office is the equivalent of Alien versus Predator. Whoever wins, we lose. In many ways, I would say you're not totally off the mark there. That's for sure. Brimstone over on X saying, The Fisher King is an amazing film. Bike Riders, I hear, is good things, but haven't gotten to see it. Dude, Bike Riders is phenomenal. Bike Riders is phenomenal. The Hidden Bee 23. Wait, not a Wednesday morning? Holy cow! How can I catch? I can catch a stream now, dude. I've been on all summer, man. I've been on all summer. It's also the last summer stream of the summer, the morning stream at least. Oh man, yeah. Every summer I add in at least one. In the past, sometimes 2. There you go. So, Mr. Roy, who is a chosen of Valhalla member, hello. From work. What's going on, Mr. Roy? Hope work is going okay. Sorry for that sad face. Let's see. Asian GOD DOX saying, doing the cookie count. If you want to see how many digital cookies you have, that's what you put, ! Cookies. Just type that in, press enter, and then what Heimdall will do is Heimdall will come up here and say, hey, you have 0 hours and 0 cookies. So you're brand new in the chat, it seems. Brand new in the chat. Oh, man, if we had an extra month of summer, that would be fantastic. That would be phenomenal. All right, let's go ahead then and dive into our first bit of news, which, of course, is going to do with the box office. Because we're going to deal with some box office, it means we're going to be dealing with some numbers, and that means that we're going to be dealing with some math.
I can see a real mathematician at work.
That's right. We're going to be dealing with some math. So I actually was looking this up earlier because someone had asked about Jurassic World Dominion versus Jurassic World Rebirth. And surprisingly, yeah, Dominion actually did make $376 million domestic, insanely enough. Internationally, $625 million. Now, this, of course, was at a time when you had a lot more money coming out of China, right? This was $157 million from China alone. Easily the biggest take coming from them. But anyway, just wanted to explain why that was up there. The big news is we finally have the first Monday number for Fantastic Four, and honestly, it's not terrible. I know that there are a lot of people out there that are going to, who want to hate the film, who want to poo-poo all over it, and let me be honest, the film is not doing well. I'm not going to be making that argument for the record, right? The numbers here, when you compare this to other MCU films, it's just not even holding a candle, especially when you adjust for inflation, when you take those things into account. That being said, you usually get an early indication of where a film is going to drop off in its second weekend from its Sunday to Monday drop-off, right? So normally a really bad drop-off for an MCU movie will normally be in like the upper 60s, 70s, even 80s from its first Sunday to its first Monday. So to drop at 61% is actually not bad. In fact, if you go back to Superman, that movie actually dropped around, I think, 59%. 58, 59% in its first Monday. The numbers, unfortunately, is being quite slow right now, so I might actually have to use Box Office Mojo, which is not my favorite. It's not my favorite. So let me see. It can't just load so much faster, though. That's the bad thing. So yeah, its first Monday, as you can see here, Superman dropped 58.8% in its first Monday. So up against 61%, that actually isn't all that bad, right? Now let me go ahead and actually pull up Box Office Mojo in this one here because, again, it's just loading so much faster. So 61.5% to 58.8% first Monday to first Monday. Most people are focusing only on, hey, it made $12 million on its first Monday, that of course being Superman, whereas Fantastic Four only made $10.4 million. That's a $2 million advantage. Yes, that is true. But the percentages are the name of the game. We already know Superman had a better opening weekend, right? There's no doubts about that. By the same point of release, that film was at $137 million. As of right now, this one's at $128. So it's still got about a $9 million advantage when it comes to the domestic. So Fantastic Four, we do have this first Monday drop-off. But as I said, overall, just like with Superman, this was an early sign of what eventually would be a pretty strong weekend showing, right? It only dropped 53.2% in its second weekend, right? Very, very strong numbers. This could potentially indicate where we will also see Fantastic Four and in the long run too. Now, the early indications, at least from Tony over at Deadline, shout out to Tony at Deadline. Man seems to hate me for some reason, I think. Hard to say. But from what Tony is saying and from what he is hearing is the sources are saying what they're expecting is that Fantastic Four will drop around 60% in its total box office. Now, let's see if we can find this relatively easily. I feel like it tends to be a little bit better on Box Office Mojo as far as their speed is concerned. But let's just pull up a bunch of random MCU titles. Let's also pull up Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, because that's also one brought up too. All right, so let's go to one of the worst releases ever in the history of the MCU, which was The Marvels 2023, right? That film made a total of $206 million worldwide. It's kind of crazy when you think about this, right? Because as bad as these movies are doing, right, whether it be Superman, whether it be Fantastic Four, no one has done as bad as this one. I mean, again, the fact that both of those movies have easily made already after just a few weeks more, and in the case of Superman, twice as much as what the Marvels did in the entirety of its run, it just shows you how bad and how weak those numbers were. Now let's go to the original release here, and I think I have to pull up the original domestic. And if you go here, what you'll notice is that on its first Monday, it dropped 74%. So it opened up to a very weak $46 million domestic, and then it dropped 74% on its first Monday. Let's compare this up against the Avengers. So same thing, we'll pull up the original release, we'll go domestic, and we'll pull up its daily chart as well. Now notice here, on its first Monday, it dropped 66.9%. Okay, this was a pretty popular movie, but also a very front-loaded movie as well. Let's go to Iron Man 3, one that has received a lot of criticism over the years. Obviously, let's see if there's any difference in its Monday drop-off. It dropped 73.8% in its first Monday. This is the reason why, people, why these Mondays are so important, right? Because 73% drop Monday to Monday. It ended up having a weekend drop of around 58%. So this one was actually able to recover, right? So a pretty sizable drop-off that was somehow able to recover, right, with actually a decent 58%, right? Compare this to the Avengers, which dropped 66%, ended up dropping about 50%. So again, that's also very strong hold there. And then we go to Iron Man 3, as I had mentioned, dropped 73%, recovered to 50%. Captain America, The Winter Soldier, let's pull up that original release. Let's pull up the domestic numbers there. So it dropped 73% Sunday to Monday, and then for weekends, it actually dropped only 56.6%. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. This is the more recent of the releases. This is one that a lot of people are putting this up against. Let's see how this one did in its domestic numbers. Okay, it dropped off by 44%, but remember, that was also, and I'm glad they have this mentioned here, it was also President's Day, right? It went on to drop 70% in its second weekend, right, which was one of the biggest at the time. And so these are the numbers, though. These are the metrics that we're going off of here. And so for this movie right now, all right, let's just go back now to Fantastic Four. to give a bit of context here. All right. So with Fantastic Four and its domestic only dropping 61% in its Sunday to Monday drop-off, right? That's a lot better than the 74% drop-off that happened when it came to the Marvels. That's actually even, that's also better than the 66% drop that was seen by the Avengers. That is also, can't compare that to Iron Man 3. Actually, no. So it's also better than the 73% Monday drop-off for Iron Man 3. That one, of course, went on to recover. And one could also make the argument of, okay, well, those came out over April and May and the weekends and competition, all those other things. But the important thing is this, right? When we're just looking at that metric, right? Because that usually is a pretty important metric, a pretty important sign of what the long-term health of a movie is. I think that people need to realize that, hey, things are actually not looking all that bad, not all that terrible. Again, 58% drop was what we saw for Superman. The fact that Fantastic Four is only at 61% seems to indicate that it's actually got some decent health. Now, one could, I think, also look at a couple other numbers here. So let's look at these Saturday numbers, right? 41% Friday to Saturday drop, 18% on Sunday. For the Marvels, 29 and 38. Okay, so we've got some, a much larger drop-off there for Fantastic Four versus the Marvels even in that instance. But it also had that massive Monday drop-off. Let's put this up against Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. So this thing dropped 27%, 24%. Now, this was, again, also a holiday weekend, so that one is a little bit harder to look at. Let's see. Superman dropped 33% and then 17%. So 41% versus 18%, 33 versus 16. So honestly, this seems to be, based on these numbers here, based on these percentages, it seems to be doing about on average with what Superman was also doing. Now, does this mean it's going to make the same exact numbers? Well, no, because Superman has a massive advantage as far as total box office is concerned, right? So that is going to be a major factor. That's why I think Superman ultimately is going to walk away in that battle between them domestically. The big question mark that we just don't know the answers to, and we really just need a little bit more data on, is obviously international numbers there, right? Because international is going to be the true, game. It's going to be the real, is going to be the real story. Is the low internationals that it got? I mean, it only did 4 million better than what Superman did. Is that going to be the sign that international markets are also rejecting, just as they're rejecting Superman, that they're also rejecting Fantastic Four? And if that happens, and its international advantage is marginal versus Superman, but Superman has a much clearer edge domestically, hey, guess what? That means Superman wins that battle. Now, neither of them are going to beat Jurassic World Rebirth, mind you, as that film is still making a plethora of money. But anyway, we do have this Monday numbers. I wanted to give some comparisons there because, again, some people will try to say, oh, look at this Monday drop. Well, comparing it to other Marvel films, it's not the worst. And it's actually probably on the higher side of Monday drop-offs. It did have some steep Saturday and Sunday numbers, though. So, again, a bit of a mixed bag. Ultimately, what does that mean? It means, hey, those weekend 2 numbers are even that much more important than they would otherwise. But as of right now, it does not seem like the film is dropping off of a cliff, as some people might try to put out there. So again, just wanted to show you all the numbers, show them in real time. If y'all have comments or questions or want me to pull something else up, please feel free to do so. But anyway, let's jump back into the chat. Sahil99, thank you very much for tagging. He says, do you think a $1 billion movie is a thing of the past, or are we just in a bit of a lull? I know Lilo and Stitch made $1 billion, but a few years ago, we would have had maybe 5 to 6 that reached that level. I think it might have seemed that way. Sahil99. Remember, 2023 is the last 5 years' biggest year as far as $1 billion films, because we had, I think, 3 or 4 $1 billion films back in 2023. This year, we are set to reach that number again. And again, people may not recognize this right off the bat. We have Lilo and Stitch, which is the first $1 billion film for us, right? And barely $1 billion, but still $1 billion is $1 billion. But we do have a lot of movies still to come out. The one that everyone is already speaking about that is guaranteed $1 billion, I'll call it right now, it's going to easily at least minimum make $1 billion, probably close to $2 billion. I do think it's going to be a lot less than the previous. I think when it comes to these movies, they are on the way out as far as numbers, meaning I think that they're going to consistently lose their audience, or at least that's my hope. We're seeing it financially. I hope it continues. But the Avatar movies is what I'm speaking to. So Avatar is coming out this year. So even though it is going to bridge 2025, 2026, it's still a 2025 release. Ergo, if it hits $1 billion, it's a $1 billion film from 2025. Okay. So we're going to have $1 billion film in that one. The sleeper that no one, I think, is talking about, but they need to, is Zootopia. Okay. Because Zootopia 2, I think it is still set to release this year. Yeah, it's still listed as 2025. Zootopia 2 comes out around Thanksgiving this year. November 26th is its release. The first Zootopia movie was a pretty big film. Not necessarily theatrically. It still actually, I scratched that. It made $1 billion. All right. Now, that was with the re-release stuff. In its original release, actually, no. In its original release, it actually did make $1 billion. Yeah. So it made over $341 million domestic, over $684 million international. Now, we all know the international market is not the way it once was. The international market is not coming to play to that same level as was the case back in 2016, especially. That was when the first Zootopia came out. But even also in today's world as well. Let me go ahead and see if I can pull up the $1 billion film from this year, Lilo and Stitch. Right? So Lilo and Stitch, really, its $1 billion came from the fact that it had a very strong domestic total. $420 million domestic, $598 million international. So again, normally for big $1 billion films, you see a much clearer 60-40. That's pretty close. So that's probably about as best as you're going to get in the modern era for movies that get to $1 billion. But by the time Zootopia comes out, will there still be some of this, I guess, some of the issues going on internationally where they're just not as interested in these releases? This was also a film where, if you go to the original release, let me see, it did get a release in China. It made $25 million. Now, this, again, is not very high for China. That's a good thing because it means a huge portion of your box office is not reliant on China, and where you only get 25% of your box office back if you're a studio. But it also, I think, does kind of show you the current state of the market as well. But no, those are two movies that I think are going to hit $1 billion. So Lilo and Stitch, $1 billion. Avatar, Fire and Ash, $1 billion. And honestly, Zootopia. I think Zootopia has it in it. The fact that the first movie made $1 billion and its popularity has really only grown since then, I think means it is very likely to hit that number. So again, we have at least one, but I don't sleep on Zootopia 2. I think Zootopia 2 has a chance for sure. All right, back in the chat, we got a member on the channel, Wayward Noodle. Hail to you, Wayward Noodle. Thanks for being here. I'll go ahead and just remind everybody. So as of right now, there is going to be, since it's the final summer stream, we're going to have a giveaway. So I'm going to give these away. I'll mail these to anywhere in the world so anyone can enter in. First, whoever my top 3 chatters are, so whoever's listed as 1, 2, 3 in the chat, y'all will get to choose whichever ones you want. So it'll be, one pick for each person out of the movies that I have available. So those are The Bike Riders on 4K, A Quiet Place Day 1 on 4K Steelbook, the film Brick on 4K, The Fisher King. This is a Blu-ray from Criterion. I got 2 copies of those. And then also a Criterion release of Harakiri, which is a phenomenal Criterion film also. So that's the pool of movies that the top 3 will choose from. Top 3 chooses. After that, I'll then pull winners from the active giveaway. So if you want to enter in for that one, you can enter in for that one by following the instructions of Heimdall from earlier. Let me see if I can pull those up. So if you want to enter in, just put enter ! A space. So click the space button and then type the number 1. It'll cost 5,000 digital cookies. So again, if you watch my streams, you get digital cookies as you watch. So most of you probably have a lot more than you would even realize. As Hosatako has just also shown, yes, if you want a higher chance of getting the number 1 spot, Hosatako, who says Super Chats gives you extra points chats. Yes. So if you want to guarantee a number 1, 2, or 3 spot, You can also do that via Super Chats. As you can see, Hosataco is now listed as number 1. You can find that out also by looking at the XP. So if you look at the XP in the chat, you will see that there. So anyway. So top 3 winners there. We'll get to choose first, and then I will choose from the chat. And again, if you follow those instructions, put enter exclamation point space. The number 1 gives you an entry. You can only enter in one time anyway for that one. So this is after the 3 have been chosen, I'll choose winners to choose the other 3 out of the pool of people that have won that one. If for any reason no one has entered in, then I'll just go down the line of people in the chat, because so far no one has entered in. But again, if you want to check your cookie count, do what the Morak did. You do exclamation point cookies, and Heimdall will tell you how many cookies you have. So for him, he has watched 36 hours and therefore has 24,000 cookies. So he has more than enough to be able to enter in. As I'm sure now people in the chat are going to be like, "Ooh, let me do that." And that is unfortunately a YouTube exclusive thing. Yeah. I wish I could find a way to, because obviously I could pull the chats up on the screen. I don't think there's a similar bot functionality. I'll have to look into it. Maybe it's Stream Ninja. So there's a Video Ninja, Stream Ninja, and that's what allows me to pull up comments from all platforms up on the screen. But I'm wondering if there's a bot component within that would allow me to do something similar to this, where I could actually give cookies to people watching over on X or over on Rumble or all those other platforms. All right, let's see. Thanatos Felicitas saying hello. Thank you for tagging at 1021. Glad to have you here. Again, if you have a comment or question that you want to be read aloud, just put @Odin at the very beginning of your comment. It lets me know that you're trying to get my attention. Vivander, thanks for tagging, saying Spider-Man No Way Home was an interesting test case as it had a big drop-off followed by a really solid subsequent week-to-week hold over a long and profitable run. Yeah, it's a very good point. I think that for that one, honestly, let me pull that up too. I think that the bigger factor for that one was because of COVID. No one was really expecting that one to do anything. Remember, everyone, this was a week after, I remind people of this all the time, when Spider-Man No Way Home came out in December of 2021. The week before, you had the remake of West Side Story come out, and it flopped. It was a massive flop. And Tony at Deadline and all of the shills in the media ran with the same exact story. It's COVID, it's COVID, it's all because of COVID. And then Spider-Man No Way Home comes out, and they're like, okay, hold my beer. I almost forgot how big this movie was. Let me pull this up on screen, people. This is kind of crazy. We know this was a big movie. I don't think we remember it was this big. This movie this was 2021. This is like peak COVID hysteria still. $814 million domestically. Let's put up the original release just to be as accurate as we can. $804 million domestically, $1.1 billion internationally, for a total of $1.9 billion. That was the original release. Since that time, there's been subsequent re-releases. It's still not much different. But oh my word, it opened domestically to $260. This is the reason why anyone trying to run with, oh, Superman's doing great at the box office, or Fantastic Four's doing great at the box office. It's 2025, people. Superman opened to $125 million domestic. Fantastic Four barely opened to $116 million domestic. $260 million in 2021. When people were still wearing masks, still were afraid to go to the theater. This shows you it ain't superhero movie fatigue. It's bad, mediocre fatigue. This was able to do what those others were not able. This also proved, guess what? People are still willing to go to the theater, but you got to drive them out. You actually got to give them something that they think is worth it. And yes, is that movie perfect? It's not. It is nostalgia, right? It's nostalgia bait, right? But it's done right. It's done exactly the way you would want it to do. All right, Rogatrax is saying, how many preview days did Superman have in comparison? Superman had the Prime exclusive day on the Tuesday before, I think. Fantastic Four, it may have had some screenings, not anything to the same level as Superman did, right? Because the Superman one, that was like $2 million worth. I don't think a whole lot came from Fantastic Four. Again, at least not to my memory. Brimstone over on X. The fact Superman couldn't beat a mid-Jurassic World movie is really sad. And again, I think that Spider-Man No Way Home is that another reminder of just, again, oh, people are trying to say, oh, Superman's doing great at the box office. Oh, I'm sorry. Explain to me how a movie in 2021 is able to do those numbers when fear-mongering was at its height, was at its peak. I mean, we can talk about numbers relative to other things, but come on, people. Wake up and smell the hummus, as was said in a great film once. See, Rogue Attraction was at the number one spot. I know that, of course, he's been knocked off by Jose Taco. Let's see, Eric S. Was Avatar 60/40. Oh, that film absolutely had a massive international pull. Let me pull that up. Man, if you've not watched me in a long time or ever, that's what I thought, people. Okay. I cannot stand the Avatar films, okay? I think that they are some of the worst things to ever exist. But here's another fun fact. So unadjusted, so let me be fair, unadjusted, Avatar made less domestically than Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, again, when you adjust for inflation, ticket sales, this is still one of the biggest films of all time, right? As a modern era, no doubt. Look at this split. Yeah, exactly. So it made $785 million domestic. Now let's go original release, okay? Just to be fair. So it made $749 million domestic, $1.9 billion international. Yeah, it wasn't even a 60/40, it was a 70/30. So Avatar is almost always run by international audiences. Now let's put this up against the sequel, Way of Water. This is what I think is going to happen, by the way. Look, so it goes from $2.7 billion, adjusted for inflation, it's almost like $4 billion. But then it only makes $2.3 billion in 2022. I think both of these numbers are going to continue to slide. But look, almost a perfect correlation, 70/30. So Avatar is not even a 60/40. It is a 70/30 market. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's domestic this time around in the 500s or less. And his internationals, I think, is going to likely be still over $1 billion, but by how much? Going to the original release of this one back in 2022, China, I forgot how big this, $245 million in China alone. Remember, China has not been very big on a lot of these Western movies recently. Does Avatar get thrown into that? It's still way too early to tell, right? It's still way too early to tell, but it's possible. But yeah, you forget just how big those movies are. That's why when people say, oh man, this film is so big, I'm like, do you not have any long-term memory of anything? It's like, please. Someone had asked earlier about, because I have ADHD and so my brain goes all over the place. Someone did ask if there was any early numbers on, if there were any early numbers as far as projections on Nobody 2. Unfortunately, Box Office Theory has hidden some of their numbers behind a paywall. Luckily, not all of them. So that definitely, makes me happy when he combines his forecast in. The last update, though, was 2 weeks ago. So take this with a grain of salt. The last update had Nobody 2 with a 12 to 17 million domestic opening, total domestic run of $32 to $47 million. As a frame of reference, let's pull up Nobody. By the way, I'm using Box Office Mojo, which, as you all know, I hate ever since it got taken over by IMDb. That one opened to 6.8 million domestic. That's unadjusted. Wouldn't be a huge difference, as that was about 4 years ago. So that's a pretty sizable jump from 6 million domestic opening to 12 to 17 as it was projected. Those numbers could climb too. All right, we could see those numbers actually go up. But anyway, wanted to make sure that got answered. All right, back to the chat. Steven at 10:33. Brother, good morning. I'm glad to make your morning stream. Anyways, should DC be celebrating Superman crossing $500 million mark overall, or should they be worried? It depends on what the budget is. That's the thing. We really just don't know what the actual budget is, because either we take their word for it that it was $225, or we think, you know what, when you reported on your tax form $360, even if that's just an estimate, you couldn't have overestimated by that much legally. I just don't feel like, again, I'm not an expert on these things, but $225 sounds a bit low for modern films of that caliber, of that type. Not to mention the marketing costs, which were probably pretty exorbitant as well. I would say, I think that they're probably going to break even based off of at least their reported numbers. But for them to try to argue like it's this huge success, that I think is a step too far. Because when you are starting off with a James Gunn level movie, again, he's very divisive, but he has notoriety. He has his name out there. It's not the same situation. And I think it was John Campea who tried to make this argument of, oh, well, look what happened back when Batman Begins came out. Oh, back in 2005, when the market was very, very different, and back when Christopher Nolan was not a household name. You know what made him a household name? That's right. It was the Batman Begins and Batman and the Dark Knight and that whole franchise. That raised his notoriety. That raised his level to such a degree that now he can do whatever he wants in Hollywood. When a studio says, oh, we want to convert this to 3D, he can say, no, you don't. No, you're not. Oh, we're going to give you all this money. No, thanks. I'm going to have more creative control over here. So what gave him that? It was The Dark Knight. It was Batman Begins. It was that world that he had built. James Gunn's already made. James Gunn's already out there. He's already a known entity. So he's not going to gain notoriety from this. And if anything, it's likely going to cause more division and therefore lead to further losses down the road. Steven, by the way, I start college in 3 weeks. When do you go back? By teaching next week. We start our meetings. Brimstone, I checked out Fantastic Four and Superman. Really have been disenfranchised with superhero films and the treatment of the heroes. Seriously. How does X get in on this giveaway? Unfortunately, X cannot. Alice McCarthy, who is a member, 28th place. Hey, man, you can keep trying. You can keep trying. Fun with collecting as a member. Good morning, OMB and chat. Hail to you. Justin C., check their cookie count. And yes, you can enter in for that giveaway. Let's see if anyone has entered in on that side. No one has entered in yet. Again, top 3 will get to choose of the movies that I had posted earlier. And let me see if I can once again find the instructions from Heimdall. So if you want to enter in for a chance to win whatever movies are left, if you just type in enter exclamation point, a space, and then the number 1. Enter exclamation point, space, number 1. I'll go ahead and actually type that. So enter exclamation point 1. So I just typed it. If you type exactly what I just typed, it will enter you in for a giveaway on YouTube. Again, on YouTube. There you go. And then Heimdall will tell you whether or not it's been registered or not. So there you go. See, Steven, you have been entered in. You can only enter in once anyway, so Steven has been entered in. So after the top 3 chatters get to choose, then you'll have the edge there. All right, the Morak, though, coming in hot, everybody. Thank you very much for the $10 super chat. Say thanks for the Wednesday streams. Hope your upcoming school year goes well. Morak, thank you so much. You've been always such a great supporter here on the channel, so I do really appreciate you very, very much. And I think that should push the Morak into first place, I think. Should push him in the first place. We just found this out last stream. There was a battle going on between a few people. It was either Hosatako and Laura or Morak and Laura. I forget which ones. But anyway, Heimdall will tell you whether or not you have gotten your entries in, and I'll just confirm. So right now, I've got Steven, Mark, Lurseth, and JS Pena listed. So again, y'all will be chosen as with whatever movies are left. y'all will be able to choose from those remaining movies. And so, again, if anyone has just recently entered in, my top 3 chatters, so whatever the chat says is the top 3, y'all will get to choose from these movies. So, again, Harakiri, Criterion Blu-ray, phenomenal movie. The Bike Riders on 4K, another phenomenal movie. Quiet Place Day 1, which is a 4K Steelbook edition. Brick, which is a 4K, the only good Rian Johnson movie. And then I've got 2 copies of The Fisher King, which are both Blu-rays, Criterion Collection. Okay. Yeah, now people are like, ooh, I know what to do now. It gets a little tricky at first. I need to create graphics for it because I don't do giveaways all the time. But on shows like this where it's like, hey, it's the last summer stream. Let's go crazy. Let's go crazy a little bit. Alrighty. People are checking their cookie counts. Yeah, Brimstone. Unfortunately, yeah, watching over on YouTube is where you get them. So apologies, you don't have enough cookies to enter in for this one. But don't worry, there's always next time, Brimstone. There's always. I will just say shout out to you for chatting over on X. If I can find a way to integrate X chats into the bot, again, the bot is directly. It's a Streamlabs bot, and so it's directly tied into my YouTube account. Justin C, I see that you have logged your victory as well, or logged your entry as well, I should say. Okay, let's get back into the chat. Let's get back in the chat because we still got a little while. We're still got a little while. I was jumping ahead quite a bit, trying to make sure that people do what they had to type in. So yeah, that's why the @Odins also help, because if I ever get lost in the chat, I know, oh, if I see an @Odin, I've got to highlight that and click it onto the screen. All right. Yeah, no movie for you today, Brimstone. Apologies, man, but it happens. All right, the Hidden B23 tagged to say, I watched the movie North by Northwest, phenomenal movie, last weekend. Have you ever seen it, and what's your opinion? Yes, I have. I love Alfred Hitchcock films. North by Northwest is a great one. So, yes, phenomenal movie. I think that's referring to Avatar. Yeah, dude, like, the fact that it made like $1 billion within a week, it was insane. People forget just how big that movie was. Paul Stentiford. What's going on, Paul? Let's see. He says here, hey, Odin, thanks for tagging. Do you think that we're caught in a perpetual cycle of sequels, prequels, midquels, remakes, reboots, and reimaginings? Is this a sign that as a society we are culturally in a dead end? Yeah. Now, I will say there are still really good movies that come out. It's not all doom and gloom. Usually it's in the independent scene. I recommend checking out Film Threat, the guys at Film Threat, because they do review the big films, but they also review a bunch of indie films. And if you look at their reviews, you'll see there's a bunch of really cool, interesting ideas, interesting movies that are coming out every year, almost every month even. The issue is that we have to kind of, I think, reorient our expectations to realize because of distribution issues, some of them are only going to be available online, right, through streaming. Some of them are only going to be available through theaters in a very limited capacity. So we're definitely, as far as like the mainstream movie culture, we are absolutely stuck. We are absolutely stuck in that cycle for sure. And if you listen to Disney, what did Disney say on some of the more recent earnings call? They said, hey guys, get ready for more sequels. Get ready for more of this recontinuations of these content. They're going to make everything into a live action adaptation. They're going to remake and redo everything. Because look at what happened this year. Elio comes out, original movie, flops. A lot of reasons why it flops, but still, on paper, what they're going to see is, oh, this was our original movie, and it didn't make anything. What did make money? Well, what's the only $1 billion film this year so far? Lilo & Stitch live action. It wasn't even a great film. Even people that went to watch it, even people that may have enjoyed the original Lilo and Stitch, and maybe even they enjoy this one, all admitted, yeah, this was still not anywhere close to being as good as it needed to be. So, I mean, yeah, that's kind of where we are right now. Unfortunately. Whoa, okay. We got a battle going on, it seems, with some super chats. So let me go ahead and highlight that real quick, and then we'll jump back into the chat. So, English Batchers, thank you very much for the 20 pounds, 20 euros. Luckily, my little chat here actually converts it for the $26.87 super chat. Thank you, brother. Saying here, for the lights and the curtains. Thanks, Odin. Keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate that, English Batchers. I appreciate you. Thank you, man. Wow. Does that put you in the number one spot? Is that what that means? Because we're almost there. We got 5 minutes left, so we'll be cutting off the giveaway very, very soon. Let's see. Ba-da-da-da. All right, let's get back into the chat because I want to make sure I get all these tag comments. All right, Steven's saying, oh, actually, Han. Justin C. had this. Any thoughts on the upcoming Zach Kreger film Weapons? I know Robert Meyer Burnett have raved about it. Looks intriguing for the trailer. I have not heard of that, so I don't know anything about it. Steven, what are the odds that Doomsday will change release date again? Because December 2026 is a year and a half away. What is going on? Is there still no script or ending? I mean, I think honestly it's because they've got so many cooks in the kitchen. That's what it comes down to. There's so many cooks in the kitchen, whether it be the producers, the writers, everything. I think that there's too much going on with it, and I would not be surprised to see them delay it again, especially when they're looking at Fantastic Four right now, and they're thinking to ourselves, oh boy, this thing is likely going to lose to Superman. Like, unless something massively changes in the international market specifically this weekend, it's losing to Superman, and even Superman's not doing all that great. So they're going to have had a year, 3 MCU movies. Thunderbolts flopped. Captain America really flopped. And that just budget differences there. But both of them, massive flops, disappointments. And then they'll have this one, which is like, okay, $200 million budget. If it's tracking here, is it gonna make it to $600 million? So it might be the biggest movie MCU film of the year, but that is not saying much. So they might delay it simply because they need to realize, ooh, we need to save ourselves. Twist of reality, what is going on? The Morak, speaking truth on the Avatar films, always. Always. Steven, are you surprised that Lilo and Stitch didn't surpass Super Mario Brothers box office? Like, not even close. No, because Mario Brothers, I didn't like it, but it had a huge fan base behind it. Lilo and Stitch really didn't have that same level. It still made money, but Lord. Fun with collecting as a member. I really enjoyed the first theater of Avatar back in the day, but it just doesn't have the rewatchability or enjoyability. Written pretty poorly, yet pretty CGI, but most movies have that these days. Yeah, it's a movie where people are like, but it's so pretty. It's like, yeah, but what's the story? What are those characters? And for the first one, I'm like, the character design, I'm like, okay, the giant blue Smurf people, and it's just a complete ripoff of Fern Gully and Dances with Wolves, and pick your movie for other things that have done this story before. They then had a mineral called unobtainium. Please. Spare me. Let's see. Steven tagged to say. It was Campia was the one comparing Superman 2025 to Batman Begins, which is ridiculous. No one Collider failed because we saw he is a sellout and a weasel. Yeah. Yep. Thank you again, Morak, for your very generous super chat from earlier. Let's see. Sick Parvis, Magna, F1S Cross, 510 million at the box office. I know you said 70% is international cut. No, so the way it works is that studios get 55% of the domestic cut, and they get about 40% of the international cut. Now, box office wise, as far as where their totals are, let me pull that one up because it is a pretty massive discrepancy between the two. Yeah, so it's about a 70-30 split right now between them. So that just means your total box office, 70% roughly is coming international, 30% is coming domestic. But of that 166 domestic, the studio gets about 55% of it. Internationally, of that 345, the studio gets about 40% of that. Now, the reason why this isn't a special case, though, is because it was produced by, if memory serves, the production company was Apple. Like, Apple was the main producer behind the movie. There were several producers behind it, but it was an Apple production. They sold the distribution rights to Warner Brothers, and the only thing that they retained was the PVOS, so the premium on-demand streaming. Or sorry, the PS premium streaming, the PSOD. they're coming up with all these new names these days. But anyway, the premium streaming, meaning when it comes out on streaming, it'll only be available on Apple TV. But VOD, premium VOD, Warner Brothers is running that. So because of that deal between them, we don't know the ins and outs of it. We don't have all the details. But what we do know is that it's going to be good for both of them. So even though on paper, F1 is a flop because of just budget to total box office and where the box office is coming from, because Warner Brothers got paid by Apple and Apple's getting something from, because of that, they are likely walking away with some money. So it's a win for them. Steven, I'm curious, is your Best Buy still selling Blu-rays or DVDs? None of them do. All Best Buys, as far as I'm concerned, Best Buy gave up on physical media. You can't even get them online anymore. So unless it's a special case, there shouldn't be any Best Buys that have any physical media. Yeah, they gave up on physical media a few years ago, sadly. But also, guess what? It means I have no reason to go to Best Buy anymore. They just lost a huge portion of their consumer base, which is why they're probably not going to have stores for that much longer. Steven, will you review The Naked Gun? I'm planning on seeing it. So be on the lookout for my Criticalist review, because that's where I post them. Giggles and Bits, Rebecca Romaine just said a few days ago she doesn't know if she is done filming because the third act hasn't been written yet. There you go. Steven, honestly, what do you think is going on behind the scenes with MCU? How is Doomsday not even completed with the script? After Endgame, the whole storyline is messed up. Because what happens is they get these movies out there like Fantastic Four, and it does so badly, they think, oh my goodness, we have to rewrite this. We have to change this because we're not getting that audience. What can we write to get that audience? I think that's what it comes down to. And that's probably why a lot of these scripts are not finished when they start, because they say, okay, it all depends on how these other films, other projects, TV shows, Disney Plus shows, it depends on how well or how not well they do. So, all right, let's see. We'll get some last comments, and then we'll get our winners decided. Michael Brigette saying, hey, Odin just dropped in. Have you checked out the new trailer for Zootopia 2? Is it like a brand new full trailer? No, I think I've seen the teaser trailer. I think it's going to be big. Jess Pena, that was a terrible decision by Best Buy. Agreed. Because, as I said, like, I have not been on BestBuy.com in forever. I looked at my order history, in fact, the other day, because I was like, hey, what was the last thing I got from Best Buy? And I'm like, yeah, I would buy other things other than movies. But if they're not going to offer movies, I'm just going to go elsewhere. I think a lot of people probably feel that way. Steven saying, due to the Best Buy not selling Blu-rays and DVD anymore, honestly, do you see Best Buy around within 5 years from now? Not in stores. And then Michael Baguette says, it's a brand new trailer dropped this morning. So yeah, I've not seen that yet. All right, let me go ahead and pull up a couple things. So first things first, let me close the giveaways entry on my bot, because they will get the second round of victories. But I do want to make sure that I do have the chat, because I don't have that in front of me at the moment. I also don't want to go too long over, because I do know that Geeks and Gamers Daily is on, and obviously I want to make sure that people are watching over there and that people head over there after. All right, top fans. Let's see. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-bum-bum. All right, we'll go ahead and wrap that part there. And so according to my calculations, all right, very important calculations. Let me get my my writing pad. For today's stream, and the first winner, who gets the first choice of movie, and again, I do ship internationally, is the English Batchers. So English Batchers, claim your prize. Let me know if you have an idea of which one you want. Let me know that in the chat, and then email me ombreviews@proton.me. ombreviews@proton.me. That's my Proton email. And let me know where to ship it to. All right. Our second place finisher, who gets to choose after English Batchers, is the Morak. Congratulations to the Morak, who got the number 2 spot. And then our number 3 spot goes to Hose a Taco. Hose a Taco. So after those two have chosen, then you will be able to choose your. And then after I get those choices locked in, we'll be able to go on from there. English Badger says, I pass on it, mate, but thank you. Whoa. Passing? Seriously, I ship international. I do ship international. You're sure? None of those. I got Harakiri, Bike Riders, Quiet Place, Brick, and Fisher King. I will happily send any of those. Steven, please do not solicit others for their spot, bro. I'm going to go based off of what's listed here. And actually, what I'll probably end up doing is I'll probably do then Morak Hosatako, and then I'll start choosing from those who entered in, because everyone else is tied at 75. So that's like the only fair way to handle this one if English Badgers is going to not claim their prize. Gotcha, English Badgers. Thank you. Okay, well then, Morak, that means that you have first choice. So Morak, just let me know what your choice is. And then Hosatako, you're on deck after that. And also, if anyone is a winner and then they're not here within like a few minutes, then I do reserve the right to skip and go on from there. But I think that they're probably all still here. All right, while we're waiting for those to come in, we got Geek True 64. Who says, had a good time with Superman and Fantastic Four. Liked the positivities of both movies. Neither were great. Better than a lot of the recent comic book movies. Fantastic Four, I thought, was better. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's better too, but yeah, I don't think either of them are good. All right, Morak. Oh, it's funny how they spent it out the website. So yeah, Morak has chosen Harakiri. So Harakiri by the Morak. So Hosatako, you get to choose a different one, as I only have the one copy. English Badgers, thank you. Thank you, dude, for becoming a member at the Citizen of Asgard level. Yes, one of the perks is that you don't have to tag. So unless you're tagging someone else to talk to them, I will highlight those comments. King Kane Rumsky saying, are you going to give a speech for your last summer cast of 2025? Nope. No speech from me, because I actually just before this recorded a podcast for members. So expect that one to come out in a little bit. I'm going to go eat some lunch after the stream ends. And English Badgers, dude. I like, yeah, I don't want anything. And now I'm going to become a member, and now I'm going to gift 5 gifted memberships. Wow. At the Army of Asgard level, bro. Morak, Mark Lisseth, Twisted Reality, Arnold Hay, Sahil99, Steven, congratulations on y'all's new memberships. And again, English Badgers. Dude, are you sure you don't want one of the movies? Hosatako says, I'll take the steel case 4K. A Quiet Place Day 1. You got it. All right. So Morak, Hosatako, email me. If you've emailed me before at a different email, that's still fine. That email still works. If you're on my Discord server, you can direct message me there. If you're on Twitter X, you can message me there too. If you've never messaged me before, though, those are all platforms that you can use too. But the best email these days is ombReviews at proton.me. All right, so we've gotten those people out of the way. So we have those claims. So Harakiri has been claimed, and Quiet Place Day 1 has been claimed. So now we're going to click our last winners. So it chose me first because I did the test entry. Obviously, I'm not going to take that. But anyway, our next winner is Justin C. Justin C., claim your prize. So, Justin C., we've got Bike Riders, Brick, and 2 copies of Fisher King. So, Justin C., which one are you going to claim? As I take... Did I just break that? I hope I didn't. Anyway, so Justin C., claim your prize, good sir. And for those that are waiting to see if they've won... Just keep in mind the ones that I've already mentioned, so I don't have to keep reading them off every 5 seconds. But anyway. Yes, Mark Lisseth, that is the Rian Johnson film Brick. the only good Rian Johnson film. As we wait for Justin C. to say something, I recently watched Ballerina. It was a fun movie. Shame it didn't perform well. Agreed. All right, Justin C. wants Brick. Nice. It is yours. All right, so Brick has been claimed. So our next winner is Steven. Steven. I know he's still around. So, Steven, claim your prize. Claim your prize. Claim your prize. All right, wait for him. English Batcher saying, broken by Odin himself. Does that one cost extra? There was one I did break live on stream. Someone sent me a copy of Captain Marvel, actually, to break on stream. I don't know where that one ended up, though. Oh, wait, no, I do. I took the broken Blu-ray, all of it, put it in the mail, and I mailed it to Jeremy. That's what I did with that one. I forgot I had done that. Let's see. English Badger says, I go to prison for not paying for the BBC and watching TV. You got no idea how much joy and information you and the crew bring. May God bless, man. Dude, thank you so much. Seriously, that does mean a lot, man. So thank you, English Batchers, and thank you for your support, dude. Wow. Thank you. All right, so Steven, waiting on your response. He says, Jeremy Johns gave Naked Gun a positive review. Yes, indeed. I finally won? Wow, thank you. I'm curious which one that left over that you'd recommend is best. I mean, you've got the Bike Riders, and I've got 2 copies of the Fisher King. I think they're all good. So if you want a classic Terry Gilliam, I would go with Fisher King. More modern, good film, Bike Riders. I think most in the chat would probably say Fisher King is better. So I will let you choose. My guess is that it'll be Fisher King. So let me just write that down. If you change your mind, let me know. Yes, he chooses Fisher King. Okay, so there's still 1 copy of Fisher King left. All right, let's pick our next winner is J.S. Pena. J.S. Pena, are you still hanging out? You got an option between the Bike Riders 4K and the Fisher King on Blu-ray. See, English Badger saying, I like the huge revolvers in Looper. I'm struggling after that for Ryan positives. Yeah, pretty much. There was a good cast, too. I think that was a big part of it. And the initial concept is interesting. When you think about it for 5 seconds, it kind of falls apart, but yeah. Steven says, thank you so much, brother. That's what a way to end July. Indeed. That's why we're going over a little bit. Again, I know a lot of people are probably already going over to Geeks and Gamers daily, because again, I don't like stepping over other people's streams if I can help it, but hey, we're doing giveaways, so people aren't interested in that. They can obviously go elsewhere. But yeah, claim your prize. J.S. Pena, he is indeed still here. So I've got Fisher King and I've got the 4K of Bike Riders. Both good. Geek64 saying, the first half of Looper was pretty good, but man, it fell apart. Yep. Yes, it does. That's why I like to say, dude, Brick is actually good. Steven saying, so I'll do Fisher King then if that's still available. Steven, I already got you. What do you mean? I already got you locked in, bro. Pay attention. English Badgers, every time stuff either falls apart or confuses you, if you think about it too much, equals, can you think of one that works? So on every time stuff either falls apart or confuses you, if you think about it too much, man, can you think of one that works? The only ones that really work tend to be genre-based. So for instance, I think that Back to the Future works well. Because even if you try to overthink it and try to explain how it wouldn't work, within the rules of their universe, it makes sense. And because it's a comedy, it's not nearly as important. Yes, J.S. Pena, you can have Bike Riders. Yes, indeed. So once again, Steven, bro, I need you to slow down and listen, man. OMB Reviews at proton.me. OMB Reviews at proton.me. Also, if you follow the link in the description, it has contact information there. Again, you can message me on Discord, over on X as well. Again, both of those work. And that also means we have one more winner. We have one more film. So Mark Lizeth, are you still in the chat? And are you okay with the Fisher King? Are you okay with the Fisher King? Tina Guzman, who's a member, saying congrats to all the members. Absolutely. English Batch is saying, yes, I think. Man, yes, I didn't think of that one. Yeah, okay, I'll take that, man. Good. I'll send it after work. Great. Yeah, if you can send it. Yes, I will take that, says Mark Lizette. Good. It's a great film. Like, again, it's not like oh man, I'm stuck with this one. It's like to be stuck with that one is actually like a really good thing. So yeah, please email me, message me as soon as you possibly can. So that way I can get all of those hopefully in the mail either today or tomorrow. But congratulations, y'all. Yeah, so boom, ending the morning streams of the summer. It's been a good summer, guys. Thank y'all to everyone being here tonight. Thank you today. Thank you also to everyone who's been here all summer. Seriously, these streams have been great. It's been awesome to see the growth over time. I wish I could keep doing this, especially for my people across the pond and in other parts of the world, because I know that sometimes the later shows we do here don't really work well for y'all. So again, I do appreciate y'all's love and support. The schedule will be the same going forward, going into the school year next week. So Monday evening streams, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, and then box office videos, preview videos, Friday mornings, those drop, and then box office breakdowns drop around 3 p.m. on Sunday afternoons. And of course, Friday Night Tights and the Salty Saturday stream on Saturdays. I also do that as well. Steven, OMB Reviews, my channel name, OMB Reviews, at symbol Proton, PROTON.ME. Come on, man. Steven, I believe in you. You're a college boy. Come on. Yeah, time travel, English. Let us see. I'm going to drop that one out, man. I'll credit Odin said, of course. There you go, English Batchers. There you go. Vivander saying, if you are not okay with the Fisher King, you are not okay. There it is right there. English Batcher saying, thanks, Odin, Chat, and Mods. Thank you, man. Thank you. English Batcher saying, Sunday night box office breakdowns are cool, man. Nice. Glad that you like those. Mark saying, you can't believe in college people anymore. You can't. You can't really believe it, man. You can't. Anyway, that's going to be it for me, ladies and gentlemen. God bless, brother. And thank you again. Are you excited to see where Fantastic Four? Bro, stop with the question, Steven. We're wrapping things up, man. We're wrapping things up. Check out the box office preview on Friday morning if you want more information on my thoughts on that. I love you, Steven. I love you, man. And everyone in the chat, I love you all very much as well. KK Robski with his 12 days. Absolutely. Make sure you go check out Geeks and Gamers live as they're covering a bunch of good stuff right now, as they always do. And yeah, thank you all for an amazing summer. See you all in a few days from a box office preview video, and then the next live stream, I'll see y'all all next Monday evening as we enter into our school mode. So God bless you, Vivander. Get out of here, Geek Truth. Agreed. I need to get food and rest my back. Guess Pena, Sick Parvis, Magna, thank you. And yeah, you guys seriously are great. All right, have a wonderful day, everybody. And as always, God bless. And now for a huge special shout out to all of my Chosen of Valhalla members, starting off first with my people on Patreon, Father Luca Illick and Miss Martin Muses. Check out her YouTube channel by the same name, Miss Martin Muses. Also to my Subscribe Star people, Matt317. Check out his Twitch channel by the same name, Matt317. And lastly to my YouTube member, Mr. Roy, shout out to you, good sir. And if you want your name shouted out at the end of every live stream and video, check out the top link in the video description below where you get access to that. Also, you get access to a plethora of other things. You get your name listed at the end of every live stream and video, like you saw in those names that came up before this video started, and also access to a giveaways channel that I host over on the Discord server where I give away 4Ks, Steelbooks, Blu-rays, all kinds of stuff. So check that out if you're interested in that. Also, I have an exclusive podcast that I hold at least once a month, and it's always a good time, and you get extra bonus content with that also. So if any of that sounds interesting, again, check out that top link in the video description below. You guys are all amazing, and beautiful people. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, God bless.